Yo, what is going on YouTube? I am Germ here. Today we're going to be reacting to a clip from the most recent Travis Gafford interview of Bjergsen, which if you guys have not checked that out already, definitely go check that out over on Travis Gafford's YouTube channel. It is an awesome interview, 51 minutes of just a ton of great questions talking about Bjergsen's playing career, a ton of the big decisions he had to make during that, now him getting put into the coaching role, obviously, and just breaking down his whole career and stuff. Obviously, Bjergsen has been an icon in the North American League of Legends scene for so long, playing for TSM. So many people are sad to see him go. So many people are excited to have him still around as a coach, all this stuff. And Travis Gafford really does an amazing job asking all the questions that people are wondering about. So definitely check that out. And today we're going to be reacting to this clip where Bjergsen talks about the upcoming 2021 season, talks about his roster, and talks about his new top laner, Huni. But before we get into that, I just want to mention real quick a word from today's sponsor, which is Draft Buff. They are a fantasy esports site where you can build a fantasy team of the best players in esports, start playing with your friends, and become the fantasy champion. They have all different kinds of games, like fantasy leagues where you can play head-to-head all season long. They have Royale, where there's 100 entries, one winner, drafting on a budget with like a set amount of money where each player is worth a certain amount of money. You got to mix and match rosters, and they have Draft Pass, where you can earn avatars and taunts to show who's the boss. Obviously, we have the LCS, LCK, LEC seasons all right around the corner, so definitely go check out Draft Buff today. Get started, get drafting, get that stuff all set up, because it is really a fun, clean app and website to use. When you get signed up, make sure you use code IAMGERM, and I would appreciate it a ton. With that being said, here we go. Let's hear from Bjergsen what he has to say. This is when he was asked about what he thinks about his roster coming into the 2021 season.
All of our players are really good. I think we have, obviously, Huni, I think, is a really underrated player. I actually watched all of his games from Summer Split, and I thought that he was playing extremely well on EG, but that the public opinion is just not very good.
I think this is hilarious because so first of all, he's saying he thinks he's really underrated. He thinks he played really, really great last year. Obviously, I know that he's watched all of his games. Obviously, that was part of the recruiting process, and I'm not surprised. He's so tapped in. But I do think that's awesome that he's been breaking him down, thinks he's underrated, and he went and got a guy who, even though he's taking kind of a risk here. It is tough when, yes, the public opinion so far is that TSM is making a pretty bad decision, pretty weird decision, going for Huni. They're signing him, whatever. But I love that Bjergsen is not afraid to just say that the public opinion is bad. He is confident in his own opinions and what he can see, his knowledge of the game, his breakdown, all of that stuff, which I thought was pretty hilarious, but also pretty badass. That he's just like, yeah, the public opinion is bad. Huni is underrated. Huni was good last year. So I thought that was pretty crazy. Let's see what else he has to say.
And I'm not really sure why. He has been playing on not the best teams for a long time, but I think this is really a player that I can work with, and he can really shine and be the best top laner in NA again.
So I thought that was crazy. Bjergsen's saying Huni can be the best top laner in North America once again. And honestly, that's a huge statement because top lane's pretty stacked this year. We have Alfari, Licorice, Impact. Some people think Fudge is going to come in and be really, really good. There's a ton of awesome top laners in North America this year. It's honestly one of our better positions someday as well. Completely forgot about him. Top lane is going to be tough, but if he thinks Huni can be the absolute best, that might sound a little bit crazy because he's coming off not a very great couple of years, especially coming off some of the highs he had at like Fnatic and SKT and all that stuff. But again, this is Huni, who at one time was considered one of the best, if not the best top laners in the world. During his time on Fnatic, during his time on SKT, he was always so highly regarded. Obviously highly regarded enough that SKT went out and signed him, and that was a world championship caliber team. So, obviously, Huni being able to regain that form shouldn't be that big of a stretch. I don't think people should be that shocked by it. He's not even super old. He shouldn't be past his prime. He shouldn't be washed up. I think he's like 23 years old. He could absolutely return to the prime of his career. There's no reason that he can't get back to those heights. I love that Bjergsen sees something in him and says he sees that this is a guy he can work with, a guy that he can mold up and build up back to regaining those heights. In this interview, Bjergsen does talk about how he has tried a lot of different things in his career, how he knows a ton of different styles for maybe getting the best out of players, where maybe some people grind too much, some people don't focus on their own personal health or their diet or their exercise or their mental health enough, or there's a million different reasons why maybe people aren't able to perform to their highest levels and all this different stuff. And Bjergsen has been so experimentative and trying different things and being an amazing leader and all this stuff. I think Bjergsen has so many great qualities that are going to make him an amazing head coach, especially with a guy like Huni, who is so clearly talented. He has natural talent, he has natural capabilities, but it's just reining those in, kind of getting him into the right positions and in the right motivation and in the right headspace to actually shine on the Rift. Because again, when Huni has been motivated, when he has needed to rise up to the occasion, when he has needed to stand up to challenges, he has historically pretty much done that in a lot of the best teams he's played for. And again, like Bjergsen said, Huni has not played on the best teams the last couple of years, and that is something that, like, when I'm making my tier list and when I'm breaking down players and stuff, I really hit hard on all the time. League of Legends is a team game. If your team is not good, if your coaching staff is not good, if your infrastructure, all that stuff, if that stuff is not good, it can make you look worse. I mean, just look at your solo queue games. I know everybody loves to say, like, oh, jung diff or this or that, or you know that there's some games where if your team does certain things, or if your team falls so far behind, or if your team is inconsistent, or your team is not doing what you're expecting doing, it can impact your play. It can make you perform worse. That is just normal variance. And when players play on good teams, it can make them look better than they are. And when players play on bad teams, it can make them look worse than they are. That's why I kind of always tell people to be careful about overrating players who are on the best team, because it might just be that they're on the best team and they have 4 really, really awesome players surrounding them. And I also really advise people against underrating players on bad teams, because 4 awful players around you can really hurt your performance. It can make you bad. And somebody like Huni, who we know is ultra competitive, he is super, super competitive. He loves winning. He hates losing. When he's playing on bad teams that are just losing all the time, that's also a thing that could hurt motivation. That could hurt your kind of desire and drive and stuff. But Huni has had interviews this offseason where he has said he knows that this is his last chance. He knows that he needs to prove himself on TSM, or he might be out of competitive League of Legends, because, again, a lot of people are doubting him right now. A lot of people are hating on him. A lot of people are questioning Bjergsen, questioning TSM. And I think that fuel, that fire, that drive of Huni, kind of a fire under his ass, where he knows if he doesn't pop off at TSM this year, that he's going to be done. If he wants to continue to be a professional player, he needs to give it everything he's got this year. And the TSM team really needs that as well. If they want to make it to Worlds, if they want to be a good team, they're going to all have to play at their very, very best, because Team Liquid and Cloud9 are very good teams. So I think there is so many reasons why the whole TSM team, Huni specifically, Huni especially, should be motivated, should be, really having that passion, fire, and drive behind them, because they all have so much to prove. And I think a guy with a chip on his shoulder, a guy with something to prove, is really, really dangerous, especially a guy with as much talent as Huni. If it's a guy that just sucks and he is like, oh, I need to prove myself or I'm going to be done, he might not even be capable of proving himself. He might just be bad. But we know Huni is not bad. Huni has that talent. And if Huni was one of these guys that's like 28, 29 years old, and maybe he's past his prime or he's done with his career or whatever, maybe I'd have some more question marks. But again, Huni is on the younger end of this spectrum. He's a guy who should for sure have all the mechanics, all the capabilities, all the talent in the world to be able to pop off this year. And again, I don't know if that means he's going to. I'm not going out on the limb and saying Huni's going to be the best top laner in North America. But Bjergsen is saying he knows that Huni has the potential to return to being the best top laner in North America this year. And if Huni does pop off like that, if he is the best top laner in North America, TSM is going to be a scary team. And that's going to be a very, very scary guy to deal with. And I think that would be awesome for this TSM roster. Because, yeah, they're going to have a ton of playmakers. And if Huni can be a big carry, if he can be a threat, that's going to allow, guys like Spica, Power of Evil, it's going to open the map up for them so much. And that could make TSM a very, very scary team, honestly. Now, again, I'm not saying that if you think Huni isn't going to be good that you're dumb or it's a bad opinion or anything like that. I completely get it. I have some question marks about him as well. But again, Bjergsen has an amazing mind for the game. He is so analytical. He is so researched. He is so studied. And he is saying that the public has a bad opinion about Huni. He is saying Huni is going to have a good year. He is criminally underrated. And that is why he was his guy in the top lane. Because when Bjergsen talks about forming this roster, he says this is pretty much exactly the roster he would have wanted at the beginning of the offseason. I think that's pretty crazy. I think that should be really, really exciting for TSM fans. And I don't think this is just a guy who would say that. I think he is a pretty straightforward guy. I think he does kind of tell it how it is. And if he's saying he's excited about Huni, if he's saying Huni is his guy, then I think TSM fans and really North American fans should kind of question the things they've been saying about Huni and wondering, is there something they're not seeing? Have they not watched enough? Have they kind of been sleeping on Huni a little bit? Because I think he could absolutely pop off and have a really, really crazy year in 2021. And yeah, I had some question marks as well. I don't know how good he's going to do, but I know the potential is there. And if Bjergsen thinks that it's going to be crazy, then that definitely holds a lot of weight in my opinion, and I think there could be something here, and I'm really, really excited to watch now, and this did get me hyped up as a TSM fan. But that is pretty much it for this video today, guys. Definitely drop a like if you enjoyed it. Leave a comment down below. Do you think Bjergsen's crazy, or do you think he's on to something? Do you think he can take Huni and turn him into the one of the best top laners in North America? I would love to hear your guys' thoughts and opinions. Subscribe to down on my latest content. Check me out over at Twitch, twitch.tv/I_am_germ. Remember to check out Draft Buff. If you get signed up, use code IAMGERM. Hopefully I catch you guys in the next one, but until then, peace.